designer, revolutionary, inspiration, genius, legend. Today we talking about the one and only Tamaki Nigo. Man, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. You know I appreciate all you guys for tuning in each and every time. If you can, just hit that like button for me. It really actually helps me out a lot. And if you are subscribed, send this video to all your group chats, send this to all your friends, tell them to subscribe. If you aren't subscribed, please hit that subscribe button for me and stay tuned for a great video. This is a little video I've been planning for a little while, man. I'm starting this new series where I just highlight the legends in the fashion community, the legends that made the fashion world what they are today, because everyone on this channel either is into fashion or wants to get into fashion or takes some kind of interest in fashion. So you can't get into anything fully without knowing its roots. So this is what that is. This is just me providing the stories of the legends that made the fashion industry what it is today, man. And they got some crazy stories, some real crazy stories, man. So it's gonna be a great series. It's gonna be a fantastic video, because today we talking about Nigo. Yes, sir. The guy who started Bape, the genius who revolutionized the streetwear game in Japan, really everywhere. So we got the collector, the genius, all that. So we got a great video for y'all, and we gonna get right into it, man. Let's go. All right, Tamaki Nigo, born in Mubashi, Japan, December 23rd, 1970. Took a quick interest into American entertainment. You know, Star Wars was big at the time, and he collected, you know, figurines and things like that as a young kid. However, when he reached his teenage years, his interest kind of shifted from American entertainment, like movies and that thing, to like hip hop and fashion. In fact, he bought a pair of turntables because he believed he was going to be a DJ at around 16, 17, which is key in his development, which we'll talk a little later. But he modeled his whole style after LL Cool J, you know, big chains, baggy clothes. He loved that little style he got. But it wasn't until he discovered Hiroshi Fujiwara, which is the creator of Fragment Designs, which if you don't know about Fragment Designs, it's he's basically known as the godfather of streetwear fashion out in Japan. He's a huge brand out there. You probably know Fragment Designs from their collabs with Nike and the Jordan 1 and things like that. But when he discovered him, his mindset shifted totally. Now that passion for fashion, which he carried out through the rest of his life, that's where it started. That's what sparked it. So then he moved to Tokyo, Japan, and attended Bunka Fashion College, which is a highly prestigious college for fashion at the time. It's still, I'm pretty sure it still is. It's a highly prestigious college. However, he missed not learning a thing in college due to the fact that his love of, you know, fashion and music, he just had him in the nightlife scene, so he didn't really, you know, do school. But fashion was, attending college was probably the best thing he's ever did, because that's when he met Jun Takahashi, which is who started Undercover. Now, if you don't know the brand Undercover, man, you need to get in tune, because they're still around, and they're still like a top brand in the fashion world. He's also a legend, honestly. He's also a huge legend, but that's enough from Undercover. Now, he met Jun Takahashi, and in fact, they opened a store together. Now, at this point, Tamaki Nigo was, you know, since he was in the nightlife scene so much, DJing a bunch of functions and things like that, his name was starting to be out there as emerging trends, and he stood out for his distinct style because he, in fact, took so much influence from American culture, which then caught the eye of Hiroshi Fujiwara. Yes, the person who got him into fashion in the first place, his major inspiration. Hiroshi Fujiwara reached out to him to see if he was interested in becoming an assistant of his, and he did it, and that's where he got his nickname, actually, because Nigo actually means second, it means two. So he was standing next to Hiroshi Fujiwara, and they said they thought he was him, so he was like, he's the second one of him. So they called him Nigo from now on, and it stuck. That's what now I'm gonna call him Nigo, because his full name was too much. But he started hanging out with him. He started working on his column with him, and he helped him launch a brand. In 1990, he helped Fujiwara drop a clothing brand called Good Enough, and this kind of just showed him how to drop a clothing brand. It showed him like what's involved and how to make a successful brand, because this is a major staple in Japanese fashion. Alright, so now we're in 1993, and he spent like 3 years just learning from his mentor and just learning the game from first hand. And it's time that he felt ready to take his own ventures, where he opened the store I mentioned a little earlier with his friend who started Undercover, The store was called Nowhere, and the store was basically split, where his friend had one side and he had the other half. So on Nigo's side, they were selling good enough, the brand he worked on with his mentor. But on Nigo's side, he was also selling, just vintage Nike and Adidas and things he liked. And on Takahashi's side, he was selling more of that grungy clothing that he liked. The problem was that Takahashi's side had a lot more attraction than Nigo's. Like, it was so much more popular amongst Japanese streetwear than Nigo's was. In Takahashi's side, that's when Undercover launched. So this is part of the reason why his side was so much more popular, just because his new brand was dropping. It's still a great brand, still a strong brand. So Undercover was dropping on his side. So Nigo's like, I gotta do something with my side. Yep. How he's gonna solve this problem? This is when A Bathing Ape came out. This is when it started. Now, a mutual friend of both of them, Takahashi and Nigo, was Skate Thing. Now, Skate Thing is a graphic designer who works on a lot of popular projects. We'll get into that a little later. But Skate Thing he shared Nigo's love for American culture. So one day, after just watching Planet of the Apes, he goes to Nigo and was like, "This is the answer to your problem. We're gonna drop a line." He sketched up some things and he showed it to Nigo about Planet of the Apes with that inspiration. Now, it's kind of like unorthodox to drop a whole clothing line off of like a movie, but he did it. And then the birth of A Bathing Ape came out, named obviously off the film, but also named off the Japanese expression "a bathing ape in lukewarm water," which I believe just means just someone just relaxing and enjoying life and just hanging out. So that's how Bape started. Now Nigo knew from the beginning that he wanted Bape to become highly exclusive. So when he first dropped it, he dropped limited quantities and only his store that sold it. However, people were loving it. Like, people really liked it, so he wanted to expand, but he didn't want to just make more, and he wanted it still to be highly exclusive. So he gave it a couple other vendors to drop, but he still only let a couple a select amount to drop, which people do all the time now. That's what Jordan does all the time now. This is 1993 we're talking about. So it started getting traction throughout Japan, and everyone was loving it. Everyone was loving the designs and all that. Now you're probably wondering, okay, it's popping in Japan. How did it make its way over to America? Because this is, like I said, this is 1990s. Like, they don't have the internet. They don't know nothing about that. Well, it's actually through his music career, his DJing career. He met a mutual friend named Stash, and Stash owned, a flagship store in New York, and they agreed to carry Bape, and then boom. Famous celebrities started wearing it, such as Biggie. And then in 1994, a famous picture of Biggie Smalls wearing a Bape hoodie surfaced, and Bape just started to take off. However, looking back on it, it's kind of like still the very early stages to what Bape actually became. And now around 1998, Bape honestly just became too big. Too many flagships were selling Bape, so he did the riskiest thing you could possibly do. He literally pulled back everyone holding his, no one else could sell it anymore. He took it back from everyone and opened a huge store, a Bape store, the only place you can get Bape. He opened it in 1998. Now, this could have backfired huge. Obviously, this is the biggest risk you could take. And he did it because he still wanted to remain exclusive. But it worked. It worked. That's legendary. It worked. Now in 2000s, he's still pushing forward. He still wants to keep this connection with hip-hop. He wanted it to be hand in hand, because if he just loved hip-hop, so Bape was just showing what he loved. So soon, early 2000s, the famous Bape hoodies came out, and also the Bapesters came out. And everyone still wonders how he got the Baster pass, because the inspiration is obvious. He just wanted his own Nike model, so he took the most popular one, the Air Force One, put his own little spin on it, and boom, Bapesters. And people still wondering how it's even possible that Nike didn't sue them or whatever, but they just, truth be told, they just never sued him. So they just keep popping, and people just keep loving it, and Bape just kept growing. Now Bape kept growing. Now, I'm telling you how huge it is, but it just kept growing. It's doing collaborations with major brands, doing collaborations with Pepsi, doing collaborations with all these people. However, probably the major pivotal point was when Nigo met Pharrell in early 2000. Pharrell was in Japan, and Nigo just found out and invited him to his studio because Pharrell had no contacts. And then boom, they hit it off. He showed him about all his whole brand. He showed him about all the Bape he had. Honestly, his studio wasn't just a studio. It housed all his unreleased Bape. It housed his cars. It housed, he was a collector at the end of the day. People forget that Nigo's a collector. And then when they were talking, Pharrell thought he brought up the idea of him starting his own streetwear brand, which he's been thinking about for a while, which you guys are all familiar with, Billionaire Boys Club, which is partnered with Ice Cream down the road. But Nigo said he's gonna help him. Nigo said, "Look, I'll help you. Whatever you need, I'm gonna help you." So this friendship that's where it ignited. It was completely genuine, and it started. That's what started it. Now, when Pharrell left to come back to America, he left all his clothes and he just took a suitcase full of Bape, and literally all he wore in the early 2000s, all you could see him wearing is BBC, Ice Cream, and Bape. That's literally all you could see him. So the demand shot up. Pharrell is obviously a huge inspiration in the fashion community. So whatever he wears is gonna blow up. So demand for Bape shot up even more in America. It allowed Nigo to open his first international spot in New York City. His first Bape store in New York City. Now the demand's shooting up. Kanye did a collab with him for Bape stores based on his project. Kanye's always wearing Bape. Lil Wayne was singing Bape. Bape was just shooting up the charts, man. It was so big. It actually became so big, Nigo had to step down from his title in 2009. This is when he decided to leave because Bape was just getting too big. He opened too many different. He was opening Bape cafes, Bape record labels, Bape hair salons. Like, he was just opening so many stores and so many things because Bape was just so popular, so in demand. But this put him in debt, and this forced him to step down in 2009, but maintain creative director until 2013, and then he left Bape forever. And Bape hasn't been the same since. You could tell. For Bape then and Bape now, Bape is obviously not the same as it used to be. Like, people wear Bape now, it's okay, cool. And people still going back to try to find Nigo's Bape. Like, personally, I'm still looking at Nigo hoodies. Like, I'm not looking at current Bape hoodies, I'm looking at Nigo hoodies. So this is when he started, after he left Bape, he started his own thing. He started his new brand called Human Made. In 2010, since he's leaving Bape, he opened Human Made. He started Human Made, and Human Made has been growing very, very slowly, and I think it's because he's learning from his past mistakes. He's making very carefully selected collabs with Adidas. He's with Pharrell. Very carefully selected, very, very minimal stores open up. He wants it to grow slowly. Because I always say, ask my friends, if it goes too fast and gets away from you, man, if it doesn't grow genuine, it's not there to stay. So he doesn't want it to go too fast. He wants it to grow in its own time. He wants it to grow the right way. I believe so. I believe in a couple of years, Human Made might be a huge brand because it is Nigo at the end of the day. He knows what he's doing. So currently, Nigo is creative director of both Uniqlo, this Japanese magazine. He has a couple cafes and restaurants which also sell his new brand, Human Made. But I'm very excited to see what Human Made does in the future. But that's what he does right now. And he's a collector. Like, his house is literally a museum. I've seen a YouTube video on it. Bro, it's literally a museum. There's some insane things in there. Like, some real, you couldn't even imagine what's in there. Like, it's insane. But yeah, that's what he's doing now. And honestly, without Nigo, man, fashion would not be what it is today, because Nigo had the capability to put fashion and hip-hop hand in hand. If it wasn't for him, who knows? A bunch of other rappers had a good hand in helping put fashion and music together, but with him on the fashion side, who knows what it would have been without him. That's why, he's just such a legend in that sense. Like, he just really revolutionized fashion and music hand in hand. Without him, man, I don't know. He's such a legend, man. He revolutionized the whole game, man, for real. After this story, after learning about his background and all that, he made this brand off a movie, bro. What? Yo, and it got too big. He's such a legend, for real. It's just, his story is amazing. I'm excited to see what Human Made does. I'm excited to see anything Nigo touches now is gonna work. He's that much of a legend. He's done that much. But let me know if you like this video, man. Let me know who else you want me to do, because I got a couple ideas who else I could do, because these are very, these are fun. Just getting to know the roots of fashion. A lot of people don't know about it, and I think it's cool. So let me know who else you want me to do in the comments below. Leave a like for this video, man, and stay tuned, because I'll be back very soon, man. Love.